Hey, everybody, thanks for joining me and new Zenny62 YouTuber Eric Pegligian to discuss the Floyd Mayweather Logan Paul exhibition match, or as I'm going to dub it from now on, the Money Fest. Ching, dollar bills, y'all. Dollar bills, dollar bills. Or as Floyd Mayweather called it, a heist. Floyd Mayweather said that his fight with YouTuber Logan Paul was a heist. Period. End of story. Now, something else that might fit in the area of a heist just might be the way Oakland Athletics president Dave Kaval thinks he can gain favor with both Las Vegas and Oakland with his words to the media of late, and yet easily remain in Oakland or go to Las Vegas. In short, the president of athletics is really screwing this up. And I can tell you right now, as I say this, 1 minute and 25 seconds into this live stream, with the time on the clock, hey Google, what time is it?
It's 1:22 a.m.
That Dave Kaval has screwed this up royally, and the Oakland City Council is pissed off with him. And right now, if the vote were to happen this week, the tying vote would be brought by Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf, who is the project's main proponent. And that would be lucky. Let's take one of President Kaval's latest examples of a statement, and you'll see what I mean. This is in something called the White Cleat Beat. As Dave Kaval says, Las Vegas will absolutely work. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that on its face, but keep in mind, folks, this is happening 13 hours ago, right? And in the middle of negotiations regarding Howard Terminal between the Athletics and the city of Oakland, and with the city of Oakland trying to woo the county of Alameda as a partner so that it can use the county of Alameda's tax revenue throw-off as part of the revenue be used for a bond issue for both the infrastructure and for community services as per Senate Bill SB 293 Skinner, which is the fiscal Bible for the entire project. If they don't get the county's buy-in, that's roughly 35%, a 35% revenue loss in the tax increment financing throw-off right there. Okay? Boom. Boom. Right there. On top of the fact that the county wouldn't, and they should be negotiating with them too, use the base year assessed value tax revenue as well. But none of this has been sealed. None of this has been a done deal, and yet Kaval is running around, getting on the phone, and doing this sort of thing where he says, basically, okay, I don't think there's anything this reason this couldn't work. Okay, fine. The team isn't even considering how to balance out of town fans and tourists amongst home fans and A's faithful. Which means what? Which means they're working on that while they're working on ostensibly Howard Terminal in Oakland, right? This is the same president of the Athletics who didn't like it when the mayor of Oakland took her issues with their presentation public to the press. Think about that. And that happened a month ago. Think about that, okay? 5 weeks ago. Think about that, okay? So we have Kaval essentially going to the press and, for all practical purposes, trashing the city of Oakland in the process, which he has an open negotiation, or has been openly negotiating with, while he basically does this sort of thing and, shoots off his mouth. And that's exactly the way they put it, and that's exactly the way I'm putting it right here, all right? Oakland A's have a good feeling about Las Vegas. which means what? You don't have a good feeling about Oakland? All right. There are a number of examples here, not just this one. Okay. All right. And the person who writes this says it's also worth wondering how much of these statements are posturing by the A's front office and ownership. They had constructed the entire Rooted in Oakland campaign in response to the Raiders' move to Vegas and have been adamant about how much they want to remain in the town. But money and a new ballpark talk loudly. Yeah, but so loudly that the A's have become politically stupid. All right? There are a number of council members who do not like this. And as one who has a history with the Oakland City Council that goes all the way back to, 1986, the Oakland City Council, regardless of who it is in that chair, does not like to be pushed around. They don't like it when people who think that they have more money than they are disrespect them or disrespect the town. And I'm saying that to you right now, Dave. You're handling this the wrong way. All right? You're handling this the wrong way. And something else, too. If the Athletics think that they're as popular as National Football League, I want to clue everybody in on something. Major League Baseball was just outclassed on social media by an exhibition boxing match pitting a 50-year-old boxer versus a YouTuber. Now, you think what I'm saying about Kaval is hyperbole? It's not. Take a look at this. If you just go type Dave Kaval in Las Vegas in Google, this is what you get. Say voila, okay? You get Dave Kaval says Las Vegas will absolutely work. A's received positive response from MLB to Las Vegas visit. Aviators top 10 Las Vegas ballpark named AAA's best. Okay, that's nothing there. But then let's click view all, okay? Dave Kaval's A's fan-friendly president tweaks amazement at Las Vegas playoff game irking base. That's USA Today. Dave Kaval won't apologize for tweet. A's received positive response from Major League Baseball to the Las Vegas visit. Look at this, 2 days ago, 1 week ago, 3 days ago, 1 week ago. All of this stuff happened, all right? This is me right here, okay? All of this stuff happened. All of this. And keep this in mind, by the way, Dave. I just searched for this on Google, and look, it's already here, YouTube and Google News. What I am talking about with respect to you. This is news. Do you understand? I'm emphasizing it, okay? Okay? This is news. This is news. All right? So thank you. Link, and he says, here we go again. He says, bye-bye A's. To where? Here's my thing, okay? You think, this is why it's not necessarily bye-bye A's, but it's more like, Dave, take a chill pill because you may wind up with nothing. You want to know why you may wind up with nothing? I will tell you. This is not 2016 when you had the tremendous governor of Nevada, Brian Sandoval, who had the pleasure of meeting at the groundbreaking for the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Bureau Convention Center expansion. This is not a mostly Republican-controlled Las Vegas Nevada legislature, excuse me. This is not Sheldon Adelson, worth $30 billion, able to hire an army of lobbyists and twist arms to get a vote that really they shouldn't have gotten for the Raiders subsidy nailed. This is not that at all. We're in the middle of a pandemic. People are still coming out of it. We have people still dying from the coronavirus. We have businesses that have been decimated. The Fairlawn in San Francisco ceased to exist because of the coronavirus. We have the most tremendous economic shift or population shift due to economic change we've ever had in our history, with roughly 1/3 of the population moving because of economic circumstances, and then 628 people dying because of the coronavirus in the middle of all this. Oh no, it's got to be all about the A's and what Dave Kaval wants. And you have to be talking to elected officials who are quite literally tearing their hair out trying to help people in need to this day. And yet they've got millions focused on your effort in Oakland at Howard Terminal, and you go off behaving like this? No. The best you can hope for is for the mayor to bail you out at this point. You have pissed off so many people, it is not funny. This isn't the case where, oh, it didn't work in Oakland. You screwed it up. I'm letting you know you screwed it up in Oakland. That's exactly what's happening. And you better pray on your knees. Pray on your knees that the governor comes through with that 200 plus million on June 15th. And I believe the governor will. Because when the governor does, you need to shut it down. Okay? I'm just giving you a nickel's worth of free advice, Dave. You need to stop doing this. You are pissing so many people off who are in a very powerful positions. It's not funny. You've got in Nevada, where you had the Republican governor, a Democratic governor. Do you honestly think for a moment? And this would answer the question for a number of people who are wondering why Governor Sisolak has not gone all in on the A's. That a Democratic governor in Nevada, post-Trump, would go and favor a Republican billionaire over a Democratic governor and Democratic mayor of Oakland? If you think that, I've got some swampland in Nevada to sell you. It's not happening. This goes down as one of the worst acts of political stupidity I've ever seen. And I'm saying it just like that because someone needs to. People have been tipping around, not saying anything, not saying what they really feel. I am speaking for a ton of people who are not in a position to do so. You're screwing it up, man. You're screwing it up, man. You're screwing it up, okay? I don't care if you got your orders from Major League Baseball. I don't care if you got your orders from John Fisher. Go Bears. My point is simply this. Just because you got those orders doesn't mean you have to take them. What is going on right now is an absolute mess. And you got to clean it up. Not anybody else. You, okay? You have upset the city council. They're in the middle of negotiations with you. And yet you're going on, you keep doing this stuff. And you just won't stop. Okay? I mean, what can you logically expect to receive from this? Nothing. You want to know why? Because whatever reason you offer, it's not logical. For those of us who've been around for several decades on this, no. Young man, this is not how you do things. Folks who are over him, this is not how you let a young man in sports who is an executive over a baseball or football or any professional organization do things with political people in the middle of a pandemic where people are dying. How many times do I have to repeat that? What have the A's done to help the county of Alameda service people in need because of the coronavirus? What have you been able to do yourself? You all have lost money. So you're blessed to be in this position, and yet look at what you're doing with it. Look at what you're doing with it. It is wrong. And I'm explaining to you, once again, you're down to the mayor. It's a split vote. That's where you are. And they're still begging the county. Okay? You doubt what I'm saying, that the city hasn't secured the county of Alameda and its cooperation. You have some doubts, all right? You know what today is, right? Right? Okay. This is Monday, but do you know what happened yesterday? Any ideas? I'm wondering. Okay. I'm wondering. I'm wondering. You're wondering. You didn't see it. You didn't notice it. The mayor is still asking for the county's help. That's right. The mayor of Oakland is still asking for the county's help. In fact, the mayor of Oakland went so far as to go to Twitter and ask for it. and say, right here, this is on June 3rd, all right? Let me show you this. This is on June 3rd. This happened on June 3rd. Boomzier, right here, copy and paste the result there. City of Oakland, June 3rd. Let me bring it closer for you so that you can see it. Let me zoom in a bit. Boom. How about one more time? Boom. Okay. The official website of the City of Oakland, okay? The City of Oakland urges Alameda County to join regional collaboration. Now, what does this say? Right here. I'll show you what it says. But the mayor tweeted this out again just days ago. City of Oakland urges Alameda County to join regional collaboration. You see that? Wait, excuse me, you don't see it because it's the wrong link. Let me put it right over here. Sorry about that. Right here. Right there. There it is. City of Oakland urges County of Alameda to join regional collaboration on the waterfront ballpark district at Howard Terminal. Okay? And Cowboy P says, Zenny 62, it seems like the MLB wants them in Vegas. But and I'm glad you mentioned that, because this is why it's going to be tough for Vegas. You know, and I know why? 2 words. Read my lips. Public money. As in, they're not going to get public money. Why? Again, you're dealing with a Democratic governor and a Democratic legislature. You might be lucky to get a county. You're not going to get Clark County. That's the major county seat. It's not happening the way you think it's going to. You're not going to be able to just walk in there and collect what the Raiders got. And there's an old saying about Las Vegas and deals. And it's one that did plague the Raiders, are threatened to for a time. And by the way, those of you who are saying, but Zen, you said X, I said to you before, and I'll say it again. I follow how the situation is changing. And I will explain what I think is going to happen based on the latest events. And that's precisely what I'm doing in this instance. And I'm saying this is not an absolute if Kaval fixes this. This is fixable. Because there are a number of events that are going to occur in subsequent days and weeks. Okay? But let's pay attention to this. You can't get public money in this situation like you could with the Raiders. That situation might look easy because it happened, but in point of fact, it is not. So, you think you can walk in there with private financing? Good luck. You think Las Vegas numbers are recovering in such a way that the A's will just, boom, pop up with money? Good luck. And you think you're going to be able to walk in to Las Vegas getting a piece of that infrastructure bill? What if Congress, which just happens to be on the House side Democratic controlled and controlled in the White House, decided to sign a little bitty piece of information that prohibited that money from being, at least in theory, used to help one sports team leave a region for another? Do you hear what I'm saying? Wake up, will you, pal? You're screwing this up big time. No one wants the infrastructure bill to pass and be used to send the Athletics from Oakland to Las Vegas. You paying attention? It is time to change. It's not a matter of losing the A's. It's a matter of the A's making a mistake that, as a friend of mine once said about some businesses that go to Las Vegas, leaves you a little bit pregnant. This could turn out to be a monetary killer for your organization. And ultimately, it will rest on you and Major League Baseball for making a decision to walk out and walk away from the Oakland in the middle of structuring a deal, which is essentially what they perceive you're trying to do, for something that you think you can get in Las Vegas. Think, because you're what? The Athletics? Like you're just left being a king or something? No. This is a democracy, and I remind you for the umpteenth time, we are in the middle of a pandemic. You need to behave accordingly. You're not doing it. We are not out of this by any stretch of the imagination. Anything can happen. Let me clue you in on something else. Do you realize that with all the talk of Las Vegas coming back, it's not back because the high rollers from Asia haven't rolled in? Why? The coronavirus. What are they being harmed by? Variants. Riddle me this. Here's a question. How do these variants develop? Do you know? I don't know. You should be concerned. We don't even know where the doggone thing came from. And yet we're supposed to be out of this? How can we be out of something we don't know where it came from? That's stupid. But there's a lot of stupid going around today. Stop being a part of it. I'm just telling you something for your own good. You don't have to pay attention to me. It's not my money that's on the line. It's yours. It's not my reputation that's on the line. It's yours. It's not my words that are causing this problem for yourself. It's yours. I'm simply being not so much the bearer of bad news, because that connotes a finality. I'm being the person waving at you saying, hey, wake up, stop, because I'm your alarm bell going off in the middle of the night. Okay? All right? That's who I am. So this is your wake-up call, Dave. Go to work. Any other questions or comments anybody got before I close? John Akala, what do you think about this mess? Wow. I think the first thing that Dave needs to do, if I were him, and I'd do it sooner rather than later, is I would make a speech reiterating my organization's love and respect for the city of Oakland and Oakland fans, and my commitment to doing everything I can to get a ballpark deal done in Oakland. I would apologize for the tweet. I would take a little, I would eat some humble pie. If Dave does that, he saved the deal. Okay? If he does that, he saved the deal. Even if he does, say, 69% of it and he leaves out the tweet, since not everybody's on Twitter, he saved the deal. Okay? This Twinks, I've tweeted him, stop the insanity. That's right. That's right. But also, it's not just stop the insanity nor Howard Terminal. He's flirting around with having Congress adjust the infrastructure bill so that monies cannot flow toward relocation. That is where he is at. And I don't want to hear something about antitrust or anything. You want to go ahead and sue the federal government? Be my guest. Good luck with that. We're not talking about, the NFL we're talking about the entire government and the people that make write the laws. Good luck with that one. But that's where you are, because what Dave forgets, he's acting like this from the position of being the athletics president, doing a high profile thing that's attracted the nation's attention. And I'll bet you credits to Navy Beans, to use a favorite saying that I borrowed from Star Trek, that the athletics have not modeled out these political relationships and done any scenario planning whatsoever. No, they're not scenario planners. They don't understand what system dynamics is. All right. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering, what's he talking about, this is what I'm talking about with respect to system dynamics. It's a good idea to check it out. And get used to something called system dynamics modeling. Boom, system dynamics. something I have to be an expert in. Okay, modeling outcomes, modeling complex systems, so that you can better understand your decisions and how they impact your objectives within a complex environment. And that is where the athletics are. And guess what? Guess what? Dave Kaval is as president of the athletics, is at the center. He is a key independent variable. The question for him is to figure out which of the other dependent variables he needs to work with. I'll give you a hint. The Oakland City Council. Because what the Oakland City Council does is dependent on what he does. And that is why, right now, I'm even talking about a vote. You can model all that out if you know what you're doing. Or, hey, system dynamics too mathematically inclined for you? Well, you can go the route of Peter Schwartz. Peter Schwartz is a fellow that I've been seeing in a long time, man. But Peter started an organization that I was introduced to by Ken Hammock called the Global Business Network. And he did scenario planning, GB and Global Business Network. And they had such great clients as Pacific Gas and Electric and, well, utilities, okay? And I was honored with the, here we go, all right, with the ability of visiting GBN way back when. And on the year that it was founded, 1988. In fact, here's a cool article about them in Wired magazine, The Conspiracy of Heretics. Okay? Don't worry. My point is this. This is the kind of thinking the athletics need to apply and all of Major League Baseball. But I'm going to tell you, as a person who's governed by that kind of thinking and who knows who to talk to, you all are screwing up big time. You need to pull back and quite literally start all over again with your strategy. I've already asked Congress to take away base. Yep, so you go. Now, see, if that happens, John, let's think about the antitrust issue for a moment, okay? If that happens, what you're doing is you're freeing up owners to move here and there. Now, from an Oakland perspective, that's basically, it might make it easier for the athletics to move, but it also makes it easier for any other organization to attempt to fill the void, because you'll know what happens if the A's leave, right? Guess which city becomes the number one candidate for Major League Baseball expansion? Not Portland, it's not Las Vegas, it's Oakland. Same with the NFL, all right? It's the Bay Area with a proven fan base that hasn't been appropriately tapped into because we haven't had the luxury of a new facility or facilities at this point. It's Oakland. So Oakland is in a can't-lose position, even if it loses the A's, because it knows Oakland is the number one candidate for an expansion franchise because of its economic power. Plus, it also knows that the A's are going to have a hard time making a go of it in Las Vegas with the current economic situation. Maybe gambling will help somewhat, but not as much as anybody thinks. All right? And for the simple reason that the flows internationally in terms of people from here to there are still not to 2019 levels because of the pandemic. All right? And again, you guys are taking that bet that we may not have that variant that happens to spark and start another strain of the virus going around the world, and we're not ready to deal with it because the majority of us haven't gotten vaccinated, which is stupid. Jesus. Stop being stupid. I beg of you, stop being stupid. What's the latest on these owners trying to back off and bring? they have some things in the works I think they are quite interesting. That's as much as I can say right now. Quite interesting. I think that they've got some work to do with respect to infrastructure. And I think that they have an opportunity that may come from the South. And that is a gigantic hit. All right. So there you go. Oh, and by the way, he's talking about the African American Sports Entertainment Group with respect to the Coliseum. Now, for those of you thinking, hey, Zinni, I thought you were concerned about sea level rise. I am. I haven't stopped talking about that. It's an enormous problem. And by the way, do you realize that it is said by a group of scientists that within the next 5 years, at least one of our years, or the next 5 will be the hottest on record, which means what? If you're talking about polar ice cap melt causing sea level rise at a rate that basically is pushing us to about 18, 19 years into the future, we have 72 inches more water plaguing the East Bay of Oakland, right? Including the Coliseum, the Oakland Airport. What happens when you get that news? It means what? It means the time horizon is going to shorten. By how much? I don't know. 16 years, 15 years, whatever the case, it's uncomfortable. All right? You're welcome. You're welcome. So as I say, folks, I'm going to quote a phrase from then Oakland Mayor Jerry Brown when he was speaking to the National Football League owners in 2000 about bringing the Super Bowl to Oakland. How do I know? Because I was the organizer and I was at that NFL owners meeting with him in November 3rd of 2000. What Jerry said is what I'm going to say to you right now, Dave Kaval. Here's my Hail Mary. Catch it. Subscribe to Zinni62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com. And that ends this broadcast.